The government is prosecuting more and more mortgage fraud cases these days. One of the primary reasons is the huge dollar losses that result to the government through mortgage fraud, because most of these losses are insured through the FDIC. So ultimately the taxpayer ends up paying for these huge losses occasioned by mortgage fraud. What is mortgage fraud? Really, just in a short sentence, is people lying or making misrepresentations to obtain funding for either homes, commercial properties, or any other type of property far in excess of what they would otherwise be able to obtain. And there are all sorts of ways that they do it, but one of the primary ways is that they find certain straw borrowers who they will pretend are buying the properties, and they will pay these people small amounts of money to pretend being the purchaser. And that's one of the common techniques that's used. And they will also need to have an appraiser that is in on the take and is going to jimmy up the appraisals to have a much higher appraised value, so they're able to obtain funds from the lender that far exceed the value of the property. Now, they really have no intent whatsoever to make any payments on these loans other than perhaps the first month or two, just for appearance sake. And they make false statements representing that the homes are going to be owner-occupied when they're not going to be owner-occupied. And basically what they're doing is they're getting money from the lender, letting the properties go into foreclosure, and walking. And ultimately the lender gets saddled with all of these properties, and at the end of the day the government and then the taxpayer gets saddled. These cases can be highly complex because it usually involves fraud among people working at the title company, appraisers, borrowers, the straw borrowers, with everybody pointing the finger at everybody else as to who was engaged in the fraud. What the government typically does is they indict the whole kit and caboodle in a conspiracy and claim that everybody aided and abetted in the fraud, and basically rely upon the defendants to battle it out and point to how the other parties were guilty and not them. If you are under investigation or have been charged with mortgage fraud, you need an attorney who is experienced in handling these unique types of cases. I've been handling mortgage fraud cases for over 20 years and have handled every type of mortgage fraud imaginable.